Welcome to No Movies in Hell. I'm Chris Geiger.
I'm LaClaw Scott.
Today's movie is Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Oh, Venom.
So, LaClaw, I'm going to let you go first because you are an MCU fan.
Yes, I am an MCU fan. I have not read any of the Venom books, unfortunately, but I know that there's a lot of buzz around Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, because Carnage was alluded to at the end of the first movie. So it was one of those things of like, hint, wink, wink, Woody Harrelson being Carnage, which is interesting because Woody Harrelson can have his own MCU in himself, right? Like he's been in Hunger Games, like he's been in Star Wars. What franchise has he not done? Hasn't he been like Cohen Brothers movies? Like
I have to look that up. I can't remember a Cohen Brothers movie off the top of my head that he's been in, but that doesn't mean that's not true.
I think the only thing like he hasn't done is Guillermo del Toro, maybe Wes Anderson. But yes, Woody Harrelson is everywhere. He seamlessly blends into characters. But before I guess I get to the categories, because I think I definitely want to talk about that. Venom 2 revisits Eddie Brock living with Venom, and ultimately Carnage becomes an adversary along with some other subplots. But yeah, what are your initial thoughts of Venom 2?
So I did see Venom 1. I have a hard time with Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock. I like Tom Hardy. I think he does a great job. I think it's hard to believe that he is this character that sort of doesn't have everything together because he's Tom Hardy, where you see him in Dunkirk and you see him in, he's in Peaky Blinders, and he's always kind of this very together, very alpha male character. And so to have him play Eddie Brock is challenging. And I think it's probably very challenging to play to start with because so much of it is you're interacting with this thing that's not there. So from a craft perspective, awesome. But it's just a tough fit for me mentally with him. But I was excited about Venom 2. I was excited because Venom 1 was fun and Venom 2 was fun. And that's really all I expect from a superhero movie or from a Marvel movie is I want to be entertained. I'm not looking for thought-provoking philosophical discussion. So it passed, like it fit the bill.
I agree. I was in it for entertainment. It's just kind of like my mind processes and goes in kind of pilot mode when it comes to big blockbuster films where you just want to watch and take it all in and not really think about much. And that's pretty much how I viewed this film. I guess we could probably step into the ratings.
Wait, before we do that, so you said that you hadn't read this. Is it after you watch the movie, are you interested in reading it then? Or are you like, I've watched the movie, I'm good. There's so much more to read.
With this one?
Or with any of them?
With this one, I was good. Like I had no intent to actually read up on this story. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going in. I'm gonna enjoy it as it is and see how it goes. I feel like one book that I will read before the film or television series comes out is Ms. Marvel series. But with this one, it was back to the theaters, so a great time to celebrate going back to the movies after being away. And I think at fuller capacity than before because the first movie that I saw in the theaters with limited capacity was Shang-Chi. So this is definitely like that big blockbuster movie moment with about 75% capacity.
Shang-Chi was the first movie you went back to since March?
No, I meant at like a big, with a lot of people in the movie theater,
okay.
to clarify. So like I would have to say Shang-Chi had about 50%, whereas I know when we go to the movies, there's probably like 5 people, 10 people.
Okay, because I was like, haven't we been to the movies before Shang-Chi together?
Also, to further clarify, I saw Shang-Chi at Alamo Draft House. That was one, it was like the first week that they kind of reopened back up. And then it was at 50% capacity, which is probably like 100 or so people.
Mm.
And then when I saw Venom, I saw it at Nighthawk, and the theater probably had about 300 people. So it was probably full at about two something or other. Like it was pretty packed.
All right. To go back to your question, I thought it was fun. I didn't really think it was especially standing out amongst all the other Marvel. I mean, I think it was just fun, and
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of categories to discuss. There is the jewelry component, right? She does get engaged. They compare her engagement ring to the engagement ring he gave her previously, but they're just quick shots. They're, I guess, there's nothing that particularly stands out about the individual pieces other than they were there where they needed to be. They fulfilled that plot point. And so I just gave it a 2. Let me just pull up our ratings. Yeah, so I just gave it a 2. Special effects, I gave it a 3 because it's, it's above average special effects. They put a lot of money into it. It got a 19 out of 20. And the place where I sort of thought it fell down was hair and makeup. I didn't really think it was that great for a superhero movie, right? For where you're suspending so much disbelief. Like, let's do something fun with hair and makeup, with more fun than you would normally.
Yeah.
And then Raiders Choice, I felt like it could have been more than it was. It was fine for what it was, but I expect when you have a very large budget and you have very big actors, Woody Harrelson, Tom Hardy, I have high
Michelle
expectations.
Williams.
I want it to be, I want it to be amazing. And so I give it a 1.
All right. Wow. Well, I mean, okay. But it's funny because I gave special effects a 2 and you actually gave it more than you rated it higher than me. Let's see. What am I going to break down? The acting. I felt like the acting was very, again, like it's very comic booky. I cannot verbatim repeat Carnage's what he said when he broke out of jail and he like attacked somebody and said, what's on the internets or something like that, which the theater burst out laughing. But also I had to look this up. It was a panel in a comic book. So I was like, okay, it's a reference to the comic book. Like, that's why it's so cheesy. I think Woody Harrelson does a great job. I think Tom Hardy does a great job. I think I'm on the same page. Seems like a very buttoned up guy. And this is like a sloppy character. Maybe he gets into acting this way because it's so different from a lot of the other roles. And him playing the voice of Venom and interacting with Venom in that way, in that kind of headspace, is really interesting to see. I like Michelle Williams as kind of palate cleanser when it comes to Venom and Eddie and kind of how they're working that out. The subplot was, I guess that's getting more into the story, but I think the acting, well done. I gave it a 2. When it comes to the cinematography, I would have to say I was actually surprised at the end credits when I saw Andy Serkis. I was not expecting him, and I did like no prior research of seeing him as the director, and I'm just so used to seeing him as, an actor, or not even actor, a motion caption actor, and kind of seeing his progression in film. And now he's directing this film, or he directed Venom 2, was actually pretty cool to see. I still gave it a 2. I thought it was great. I still, it's in San Francisco again, Ant-Man City, as well as Shang-Chi. And so for them, no shared experiences whatsoever. The story I thought was just okay. It was textbook comic book. The subplot was a little lackluster. Naomi Harris, I felt, was completely unrecognizable and pretty underutilized as the love interest of Carnage. Overall, the story Carnage's backstory was just kind of okay. Overall, I would say that it's entertaining. There's lots of standout moments, lots of funny things, but nothing beyond. I think I did tell my little brother to see this movie if he hasn't, because I think he'd like it a lot.
It's interesting that you have labeled this genre as action, but I labeled it fantasy.
I mean, do you think that this stuff could really happen?
No, that's why it's fantasy. But I feel like, to me, action movies are like caper movies, like
Yeah.
car chase, buddy cop, like, like maybe some of the like martial arts movies. So I was interested that you picked action instead of fantasy, or
I guess
something that
there's a lot of action. There was a car chase in there. I
There
mean, there's no
was.
Bruce Willis whatsoever. And but yeah, I don't know. Yes, it is fantasy. It's a creature film of sort. But yeah, I guess I don't know. Maybe we need to rethink the action category.
Maybe. I mean, I think, well, that's why I wanted to make it something that we both fill out instead of something that like just is, right? Because there is room
Yeah.
for differing opinions. There's not much to talk about in terms of Venom, unfortunately. In terms of the movies that we've scored so far, this one definitely came in as the lowest.
Yeah, so far. It's not going to hell though, so that's good.
Yeah, it did what it was supposed to do.
So in this episode, please collect our POAP. So we're going to have a POAP for Venom that you'll be able to collect once this episode goes live.
And you can go back and collect POAPs for our previous episodes. And are the
That's right.
POAPs just being published on SoundCloud right now?
No, there's also a link on YouTube too.
Okay, cool. But they're the
So-
same. So you don't have to
Yes.
try to collect one from each channel. It is the same.
Yeah,
they're
and it's
limited
one
number
per
of them?
wallet. Yeah, that's right. Limited numbers, one per wallet. And yeah, the distribution is on YouTube, SoundCloud, and I need to get the link up on Linktree. Yeah, what would you like to plug, Chris?
So I don't have anything to plug this week. I do teach a Rage yoga class on Saturday mornings over Zoom. You can Eventbrite into that. If you just search for Rage Yoga, you will find it. Because there aren't that many Rage Yoga classes these days, and there are even less on Eventbrite. So I can put the link in the side panel. If anyone is interested, they can go directly there. Our next discussion will be about the Green
Green
Knight. So watch for that. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.